What's up everybody, Matt Moran here for another weekly update. So there is a ton of stories to go over this week as well. Some stuff that was left over from Monterey last week that I didn't cover at Pebble Beach that was revealed over the past weekend, and all kinds of other new stuff as well. So first off, one of the vehicles from Pebble Beach. By the way, if there's stuff that you thought you saw at Pebble Beach but I didn't cover, it was probably in last week's video because I did cover some of them last week. But one that came out a little bit later here was Mercedes has revealed the EQ Silver Arrow, which is this all-electric car with this body made of carbon fiber that's supposed to pay homage to the speed record vehicles of the 30s that Mercedes made and their race cars back then. And it's very futuristic looking, even though it has kind of the retro cues in some ways. So it only seats one person, has an 80 kilowatt hour battery, supposedly 738 horsepower, and about 250 miles of range. And of course, it's never going to be built, but it's kind of maybe showing off some potential technologies with a battery pack or something like that that we can see on a production car one day. But who knows? I mean, the way this thing looks, I could totally see this being painted black and being the new Batmobile. Like it looks like that. So, and we know that Mercedes also worked, I think, on Justice League with the Batmobile for that. So maybe this will be turned into a Batmobile someday. Who knows? We'll have to see. Anyway, cool to see that. Another really crazy vehicle. Audi has also revealed their own crazy electric concept car. This is the PB18 E-Tron. And so all electric, it has only one seat, but it can be slid over to the left so you can make room for a passenger if you'd like. So it has 3 electric motors for all-wheel drive, 670 horsepower, 612 pound-feet of torque, 0 to 62 mile per hour in just over 2 seconds, a 95 kilowatt hour solid-state battery that supposedly will do 310 miles of range and allows it to be recharged in 15 minutes. Has lots of aluminum, carbon fiber, and composites to keep the weight at 3,417 pounds, which is pretty light for an electric vehicle. And yeah, pretty sweet. I wish they'd make it. Obviously, it's gorgeous looking. There's no doubt about that. But again, most likely just a fun concept car to show off at Pebble Beach. Bugatti actually revealed the Divo, I'm not sure how to pronounce it, but it's a vehicle they're actually selling and making. They're making 40 of them. They're already all sold out at a price of 5 million euros each. So lots and lots of money. Anyway, it's based on the Chiron, and it has a focus, though, on handling, which is why it has the better aerodynamics. It has more downforce, but that also means it has a lower top speed than the Chiron, only 236 miles per hour. So still very fast. Same engine and power as the Chiron, and it's about 77 pounds lighter, though, to help with that better handling. And there's an extra 198 pounds of downforce so that it can supposedly lap the Nardo handling circuit 8 seconds faster than a Chiron can, which is pretty cool. It also looks super cool. I mean, it's not just like an extra spoiler on the back of a Chiron. Like, it's completely different front and back ends, and I think it looks really sweet. I think that's amazing looking. Anyway, also in the back there, speaking of spoilers, it does have a huge rear spoiler that's 23% wider than the one on the Chiron, for a total width of 6 feet wide, this spoiler. So it's a big car too. It's not as luxurious though. It has a more basic interior, again trying to get some of that weight down. It has less sound insulation, which means it must sound amazing when you're at full throttle, and also a lighter stereo system too, so probably not quite as high end as the regular Chiron stereo. But anyway, yeah, very cool to see that. Maybe we'll see one of them one day on the streets. Ferrari has revealed the 48 Pista Spider. Now, this is technically a concept car, but they are almost certainly going to make this. It supposedly has the best power-to-weight ratio of any convertible Ferrari ever. It weighs 3,036 pounds dry, which is about 200 more than the coupe version of the 48 Pista, but it still has the same 710 horsepower, 211 mile per hour top speed, and a 0 to 62 time of 2.85 seconds. It also introduces Ferrari's dynamic enhancer, which I don't know. I mean, it sounds similar to like the side slip control system they already have. I don't know if it's more similar to like McLaren's system or what. I didn't get any details here on what new stuff is going on with that. But it's just a lateral control system, it says. And so technically, like I said, this is a concept, but I think they're going to make it, and it's just a matter of how many they're going to build. I think for the 458 Speciale Aperta, I think they made 500 of those. I would expect maybe around that same number for these, but we'll have to wait and see. Acura has also revealed a slight refresh for the NSX for 2019. So visually, there's not a whole lot new. There's a new thermal orange color available, and the grille is now body colored where it used to have a little bit of a chrome strip there in the beak of it. It also has next-gen Continental Sport contact tires and a retuned suspension. They tweaked all the suspension stuff, so it's got lots of different adjustments to it, supposedly to make it handle better, including it's got a sway bars that are 26% stiffer in the front, 19% stiffer in the rear, 21% stiffer for the rear toe link bushings, 6% stiffer rear hub, and it also has new software to control the super handling all-wheel drive system, magnetic dampers, power steering, and stability control systems. And also the base price, it's now actually $1,500 more expensive, which is not what the NSX needs, but they say supposedly it's because you get more standard equipment here for 2019. It's like $4,700 of stuff that used to be optional that's now standard. So it's a good value in that regard. I still just wish they would do an actual stripped version of the NSX to actually bring the price down a lot more, maybe even make it a rear-wheel drive version, bring the price down even further, and increase the appeal of the NSX. They said they've delivered about 1,000 cars, which isn't bad as far as supercars go, but I still feel like it could be so much better. As far as sales, at least. Anyway, deliveries of these new 2019 versions are going to be starting in October if you're interested. SSC, I think Shelby Supercars is the name of the company. They have revealed the Tuatara, I believe is how you pronounce that. Now, this was supposedly revealed at Pebble Beach 7 years ago, and it's just design, but it's taken them 7 years to actually get it production ready, and they do say that now it is ready to be built in their factory, and they're going to be building 100 of them, and they're like ready to start actually building them now. So they have a bunch of details here on it. It has a 5.9 liter twin turbo V8 engine that has an 8,800 RPM redline, a flat plane crank, and does 1,350 horsepower on 91 octane. But if you put E85 in it, then it'll do 1,750 horsepower. So it's rear-wheel drive, which sounds like that is going to be a handful then, and a 7-speed sequential automated manual transmission. And so they claim it'll get roughly to about 300 miles per hour, although they're still waiting testing. And pricing wasn't announced, but should be well over $1 million. And, also Hennessey is trying to get to the 300 mark. I think SSC actually has a better chance of actually doing it, considering their SSC Aero way back about 10 years ago or so held the record above the Veyron as having a few mile per hour higher top speed than the Veyron. And they actually got to that speed of, 260 some miles per hour or something. So they actually have done this in the past and kind of know how to do this. So, I feel like this could actually get to 300. We'll have to wait and see. But anyway, interesting to see that. Speaking of Hennessey, though, they revealed the engine for the F5 hypercar that was revealed, actually at SEMA 2017, about a year ago almost. I was there for the reveal. And anyway, so now we have some official details here on the engine. It's an all-aluminum 7.6-liter twin-turbo pushrod V8 engine. They said the pushrod gave it a more compact size, so they were able to fit it in there easier. It runs a max of 24 PSI, and they're claiming at least 1,600 horsepower at 7,200 RPMs and 1,300 pound-feet of torque. So they're still aiming for that 301 mile per hour top speed. They said they might need more horsepower to get to that 301 mile per hour top speed. So if that's the case, then they said they will turn up the boost and give more horsepower for the engine. So 1,600 is a baseline number, and it could go higher. And so supposedly they're going to be building 24 of these, and 15 have been ordered so far, and they cost $1.6 million if you're interested. And so anyway, cool to get some more details on that. The last debut at Pebble Beach, though, was Ford has shown off the 2019 Heritage Edition for the Ford GT supercar. And they've done these Heritage Editions. Last year it was a red and white one. And so this year it's going to be honoring the 1968 and 69 Le Mans winning Gulf oil cars. And so the 2019 models have the number 9 on the side of the doors, and then also the 2020s will be paying homage to the 69s by having the number 6 on the doors like those race cars did in the 69 model years. And so anyway, Ford didn't say how many of these they're going to make, but I would argue this is the coolest looking of the new Ford GTs. I absolutely love the Gulf livery. I always have on any vehicle, and especially on the proper vehicle it's meant for, the Ford GT here. I just love that baby blue with the orange. Looks so good. So if I were to get a Ford GT, I would certainly go for one of those. Anyway, cool to see that. And there's a few other Ford stories this week here. So the first is there was a mysterious SUV that was spied thanks to my spy photographer Brian Williams. And most people are thinking this is the new upcoming performance electric crossover that was previously labeled as the Mach 1. But the Mach 1 name, thankfully, sounds like will not be used on this vehicle. So that name, it sounds like, according to, there was an interview done with Jim Farley, who's Ford's president of global markets. He was interviewed by Automotive News, and he said, "We put that out there, the Mach 1 name, to evaluate it. There are pros and cons. I don't want to handicap it at this point, but we got a very strong reaction from people." So it makes it sound like there still is a slight chance that they would use the name, but most likely they won't, because everyone lost their minds whenever they heard that, myself included. I was like, come on, don't use the Mach 1 name. And so I still say they should use the Lightning name, since it sounds like they're only going to keep the F-150 high performance versions as off-road versions, and they're never going to make a street rod version of the F-150 and use the Lightning name the way it's supposed to be used. Put the Lightning name on an electric SUV. I mean, it's perfect. It's lightning, electricity. There you go. Done deal. And anyway, even though he didn't say they're definitely not going to use the name, it seems like the way Ford is reacting to the whole Mach 1 backlash, that they're probably definitely not going to use it, because supposedly they even removed the Mach 1 teaser video from their YouTube channel. They took down any Mach 1 references on their media site. And so basically Ford has wiped out the existence of the Mach 1 teaser as best as they have the power to do. The video is still floating around by other people who re-upload it on YouTube. But basically Ford almost seems embarrassed about the idea of ever even floating the idea of the Mach 1 on this SUV. So that's good. This shows that they do listen to people, and if people give enough backlash, car companies will change course. So anyway, back to these spy shots here. So this is a rough mule that looks like it's clearly based on the current gen Ford Escape. The fact that it has diesel stickers, they even put some fake soot on the back by the exhaust tip, which is also fake. That's all supposed to mislead people, supposedly. The only other thing, since this is an Escape, I mean, it's the current gen, so it could possibly be an ST version, but I really doubt that. I'm pretty sure this is most likely this Mach 1 mule, or, again, whatever they end up calling it, this electric mule. It also has a huge fake rear diffuser that also kind of gives some legitimacy to that. That's most likely trying to hide a battery pack or something there. That's why they have that huge panel. It was also previously promised that this would arrive, whatever it's going to be called, by 2020. That's still possible, but it seems like if they're still just using a rough, donor vehicle, borrowed shell, for right now, then it seems like it's going to be a little further behind than 2020. So it sounds like maybe 2021, which would line up with when the next gen Mustang is supposed to reveal, and could be kind of cool to have them both side by side. But yeah, that's the next story here, is a news story about the next gen Mustang. So the rumors have been all over the place about the next gen Mustang as far as what it would use, when it's coming, all those types of things. And so now the current speculation is that it'll arrive in 2021 as a 2022 model year vehicle. That's according to Automotive News. In this report, they're saying that, again, CEO Jim Hackett is the reason why it's getting pushed back a year. They didn't say what he did to push it back a year, but most likely it is cost cutting. And by cost cutting, it means sharing platforms. And so there was briefly rumors that it was going to use the same platform as the S550, the current generation Mustang, but just heavily revised and updated. But this is saying it seems like they're going to try and, again, go to these, globalized platforms and shared platforms for more stuff, and have less unique platforms. And so that sounds like what they're most likely going to do. They're probably going to move it to the next gen Explorers platform, the new modular platform, which is a rear-wheel drive and all-wheel drive platform. It can go both ways. And so from CEO Jim Hackett's perspective, this saves money this way, and also could open up the Mustang to additional selling opportunities. So if you can have all-wheel drive in the Mustang, which it sounds like they might be doing here for the 7th gen version, it could either be for a high performance version to make it even better performing, or it could just be a better competitor to the Challenger all-wheel drive, which was revealed as the GT version a couple of years ago. And then you could sell it in every market that currently says, oh, I can't have a rear-wheel drive car, it snows here. Snow tires have come a long way, and I've driven my Mustangs in the snow just fine, but there's a lot of people that still need the traction of all-wheel drive, and so this could solve that bad issue for them and open up more sales for the Mustang. But despite this platform sharing that's possibly going to happen and possibly the all-wheel drive, the chief Mustang engineer recently told Automotive News that the new Mustang will be a strong, well-proportioned vehicle and that any parts sharing is not going to bastardize the Mustang. That's what he said. So it sounds like, I mean, they're very protective of the Mustang heritage and, they're not going to screw it up, I don't think. But, it'll be interesting to see what they end up doing with the new Mustang. So it sounds like we got a long time to wait, though, in the meantime. So get ready for even more special editions of the current Mustang. The Bullet was up first. Maybe Mach 1 or something will be next, or a new Boss version. And, of course, we still have the GT500 that will come someday. But anyway, interesting to hear all that. In some other pony car news, the 2019 Chevy Camaro pricing has been revealed. So, of course, we already saw the refresh, and many of you hated it, myself included, whenever it was revealed. I have to say, though, it is slightly warming up to me a little bit. I don't hate it as much as I did originally. Anyway, though, the basic news here as far as the pricing, the 4-cylinder and V6 versions are now $405 cheaper than last year. The SS models are the same price as last year, and the ZL1 is now $400 more expensive due to a new higher gas guzzler tax. Other changes aside, though, from the refresh are the Hyper Blue Metallic paint isn't available anymore, and it's being replaced with a few different colors. There's a new bright orange color called Crush that you can see there, and there's a couple other, all the other standard colors remain that were carried over from 2018, and then there's also two other new colors, Riverside Blue Metallic, which looks very similar to the old blue, and then there's a Satin Steel Gray Metallic as well that you can see there as well. Other Camaro news, though, thanks to a heads up from viewer Kyle, who sent me an email about this report by GM Authority, which actually got their news from Lethal Garage. They did a video about this, which reported that Chevy sent out a survey to current Camaro owners, asking them for opinions about a next-gen version of a vehicle like the Camaro. Probably the Camaro, unless they change the name or something. Anyway, in this survey, it listed several different engine choices and asked people, what they would think about, these options for a new Camaro. The first listed a 2.7-liter turbo motor, which you might recognize from the new Silverado they just revealed. That motor with a hybrid setup would do 365 horsepower according to the survey, 30 mpg combined, and a 4.4 second 0 to 60. For the 4-cylinder hybrid version of a Camaro, it would be very impressive numbers, but it would cost about $4,000 more for this hybrid setup than the current, version of the 4-cylinder. The V8, they also gave a few options. There would be a 6.2-liter hybrid version with 545 horsepower, 24 mpg combined, which honestly isn't all that impressive, and a 3.7 second 0 to 60, though, which would be very impressive. But that would supposedly cost $8,000 more. And that's the problem with the hybrid stuff. I think most people, if it was an equal price or a small upcharge, they say, sure, I'll go for the hybrid if I get, some better performance. But $8,000 more, at that point, people are just going to jump up to a Stingray, Corvette, or they're going to jump up to a ZL1 Camaro or something like that. This is the problem with these hybrids. This stuff is still so expensive. And again, I don't think most Camaro owners want to, make their vehicles more green anyway. And so if you're going to charge them $8,000 more for this, I don't think it's going to go over very well. But we'll have to see what Chevy decides. That's just, a very preliminary early, thing. They're just putting feelers out there. And anyway, interesting to hear that. As far as some official news here, Lexus has revealed the 2019 RC refresh this week. And you can see it's got some new headlamps up there that, kind of bring together, there was the two elements in the current RC. And so this makes it one big headlight there. And there's darker taillights, which are very similar design to the current taillights. Driving wise, it has supposedly better aerodynamics for better ride quality, new shocks and stiffer bushings, new 19-inch wheels, and supposedly even a lower center of gravity to again help with those handling characteristics while still making the ride even better than before. And throttle response has also been improved, they say, on the RC300, the turbo 4-cylinder one. There's also some new colors, Naples yellow you see there, and a sparkling meteor color they call it. The black leather now is available with mustard yellow accents, as you can see there on the seats. And also it gets the analog clock inside from the LC, which is cool. There's no news on power, pricing, or availability, but I'm sure we'll be getting all that relatively soon. But overall, I think that's a nice little refresh there for the RC, and hopefully it helps it to continue to do well. And after last week's news of Audi dropping the manual option for the A4 and A5 for the 2019 model year, Audi this week announced a little parting gift, I guess, for Audi fans that do enjoy the manual, the very few of them that there are. They announced the 2018 A4 Ultrasport Limited Edition. So it's only 40 cars they're bringing to the United States. They're all going to be manual transmissions, and it's a very cool package, though. It gets the S4 style body and the quantum gray paint that's usually only on the S models, but it has the A4 mechanicals, of course. It's not an S4. But the package does give you the sport adaptive suspension, 19-inch wheels, flat bottom steering wheel, dynamic steering, and carbon inlays for the interior there from the RS4 Avant, actually. And there's a few other things as well, but those are some of the highlights. But anyway, this package is going to be costing $6,800 more, and it includes the Premium Plus options packages as well. So that's kind of part of that pricing there. But yeah, only 40 for the United States. So if you want one, you better get in line fast, because I'm sure those are going to be very hard to come by. So nice of Audi to do that, but still kind of a bummer they're getting rid of the manuals. And another limited edition, Jeep has revealed the Moab limited edition of the 2018 Wrangler. So this combines some of the luxury of the Sahara trim with, like, stuff like the leather seats and things like that, upmarket features, with the off-road look of the Rubicon. So it also gets the black 17-inch wheels, darker headlights, darker grille inserts and tow hooks, and it has 32-inch tires there. They all come standard with the automatic only. You can't get them in a manual, unfortunately. And so, a cool, one of the first special editions here. I'm sure there'll be many more over the life of this current Wrangler. But as far as pricing, it hasn't been officially revealed, but it was leaked out to be supposedly $52,695, which therefore makes it also the most expensive Wrangler yet, which is pricey, but it seems like Jeep fans love their Wranglers, and so I'm sure they'll happily pay that. Other FCA news here. Fiat revealed the 500X refresh for Europe. I don't know what's going on with Jeep and Fiat, where they are revealing their refreshes for Europe and then leaving us in America waiting months to see, if we're going to get the same stuff. Because the same thing happened. They revealed the Renegade refresh, I think, a couple of months ago at this point. And we're still waiting to see what the 2019 Renegade looks like here in the States. It'll probably be the same aside from orange side markers, but, still just kind of weird. We haven't gotten any updates on that stuff yet. Anyway, back to the 500X here, though. There's these new LED accents and actual LED headlamps as well. Now for the 500X there. The taillights are slightly redone as well, similar to the regular 500. And the bumpers are a little sharper looking now here. The interior is mostly the same, but there's a new gauge cluster, which looks a little more redesigned. There's also some new engines for Europe. Europe still has so many different engine options. There's also, I think, 4 different transmission options, a 5-speed manual, 6-speed manual, I think a 5-speed auto and a 6-speed auto or something. Anyway, there's also 6 different engines for Europe, including diesels. I won't bore you with all 6, but chances are we won't get any of the diesels here in the States, and probably, only 1 or 2 of the regular gas engines. But again, we'll have to wait and see. Hopefully, FCA gives us the official details on the US versions of all these vehicles soon. I'm guessing maybe, the LA Auto Show is what they're waiting for, or something like that. We'll have to wait and see. Anyway, interesting to see that for Europe. Other FCA news, though, that isn't official here, but the Jeep Grand Commander, which is the Chinese 3-row Jeep that was officially revealed at the Shanghai Motor Show, I believe, a few months ago. We've already seen it. We already know what it looks like, but they've been spied running around the United States. I don't know if that's just because it's Jeep, and so they develop stuff over here, even if it's destined for another market. But 2 different viewers this week sent me pictures of these things driving all over the place. First, the first 2 pictures here are from Al, who spotted this in Ohio driving around. And you can tell it's not U.S. market because it doesn't have any orange reflectors, again, in the turn signal area there. Al also said it had European license plates on the front, at least. So that was interesting to see. It looks very good. And I mean, it seems like we're going to be getting the same exact thing here in the States as the Grand Wagoneer, most likely will be the name. So maybe this is testing for that. But anyway, Brad Greenfield in Michigan also spotted what might be the same one, just without that European front license plate, or it could be another one, of course, and they're just both white. But anyway, looks really good still. I mean, it sounds like they're, ready for production here, and I'm not sure when they're supposed to go on sale in China, but I'm curious to see, when they're going to be revealing this, U.S. version, and if this is it or what. But anyway, thanks to them for sending in those pictures. Also, Also, one of my subscribers from Alabama here got some shots of the new Mercedes GLE running around near the Mercedes factory in Alabama. And so only the headlights and a few pieces of the front bumper there are covered, and then the taillights are covered on the back, and that's it. And so, these have been spied in other places around the world as well, testing with just this, minimum camo. And so I'm guessing we'll see a reveal of this fairly soon. But anyway, thanks to him for sending those in. Before the GLE gets revealed, though, the next Mercedes reveal that we have been officially confirmed by Mercedes is going to be the EQC, which is the all-electric, kind of roughly the size of the GLC, SUV. And so Mercedes has revealed 3 different teaser videos in this past week. They're really ramping up because there's going to be an official full reveal of the EQC on September 4th. But anyway, they showed off, the one teaser shows a small part of the front end, which actually does look a little more different and outside of the normal Mercedes styling. Same goes for the taillights in the back with, a long LED strip. Again, something new for Mercedes. Thankfully, not the same cookie cutter stuff as always, but unfortunately the interior looks very similar. That was the third teaser. Looks very similar to other Mercedes products, but we'll have to wait for the full reveal on September 4th, and interesting to see those. Other Mercedes news, another vehicle that was spied was the CLA 45 was spied running around Europe, and these photos come thanks to Brian Williams, my spy photographer here, and looks pretty polished with these quad exhausts in the back there, more aggressive rear diffuser. It all looks really production ready. It's not rough like previous prototypes were. And so, since we haven't even seen the official reveal of the regular CLA yet, I don't know when we're going to be seeing, the AMG one. I'm guessing the regular CLA will most likely be an LA reveal. This car is marketed, squarely for young adults that want to, have a little bit more brand prestige. LA is the place to do that. That's for sure. So I think, probably see the regular CLA in LA if we're betting on it. The AMG one, who knows, maybe New York next year, something like that. It could be revealed in Geneva or something for the rest of the world as well before we get the US version. We'll have to wait and see. Another sedan that was spied running around was the refresh of the Jaguar XE that was spied doing some hot weather testing here in Death Valley, which looks pretty good. It looks like it's going to have some new LED headlamps there up front. In the back, it looks like it's got some revised taillights that are a little darker and maybe take some inspiration from the I-Pace a bit as well. Inside, we can see a new steering wheel that looks basically identical to the one on the I-Pace, and also looks like a carryover for that center screen and climate control system from the I-Pace. It's similar again to what you see in other Land Rover products as well. It's been rolled out in the Velar and stuff like that. Think we'll be getting something like that here in the XE. Yeah, I'm guessing this will be revealed sometime early next year. We'll have to wait and see, but I'm glad they're continuing to invest in the XE, even though at least here in the States it doesn't seem to be selling very well. I still have yet to drive one for more than 5 minutes. I really wish I could get my hands on more Jaguar models to review. But anyway, I'm glad to see they're continuing on with the XE here. And anyway, cool to see that. Another British vehicle that's pretty cool here is Mini has announced an offer here for the 2019 Cooper. And so these 2019 Coopers, you can get this Oxford edition, which is a really interesting special edition. It's only available to new college graduates, but it is an actual special edition. It's not just like a pricing thing. It's an actual edition you can only buy if you're a college graduate. It gives you equipment you would usually have to pay about $27,500 for, but you get it all for $20,600. So you're saving roughly, $7,000. So it's pretty cool. And so that includes destination, by the way, that $20,600 amount. But anyway, it includes leatherette seats here, a 6.5-inch display, 17-inch wheels, your choice of an automatic or manual, heated seats, panoramic sunroof, and a few other things you see there. It is a great deal, but you can't just be like, oh, I'm a college graduate. You actually have to provide proof that you're a recent college grad with either a copy of your transcript, your college transcript, or a diploma, a copy of the diploma, and then they will give you one of these if you'd like it. And it is a fantastic bargain, so I don't blame them for wanting to check people and stuff, because if you're graduating college or recently have, and you're even remotely interested in a Mini, this makes it a whole lot more affordable. They all come standard with a 1.5 liter turbocharged 3-cylinder engine that has 134 horsepower, 162 pound-feet of torque, and it's available both in the 2-door and the 4-door versions. So anyway, cool to see that. AutoGuide has found a bunch of trademarks and even a VIN document this past week that reveals several different possible new models. And so the first is a VIN document that was submitted to the NHTSA showing that Hyundai is going to be bringing the Elantra GT Sport N-line trim to the United States. And so this isn't the full N version, unfortunately. It's just the more aggressive front fascia, 18-inch wheels, an N-line shift knob, and some really nice N sports seats there with a better bolstering, a lot beefier. So this is obviously, the pictures you're seeing here are of the i30 N-line, which is what they get over in Europe and other places. And so, but that's most likely going to be just that package brought over, which I think is exactly what the Elantra GT Sport needed. I reviewed it a few months ago. I absolutely love the way that it drove, and I think it's really cool, but it's just a little bland looking. I think this is going to fix that, and the better seats and stuff will be welcome changes too, and so that'll be really great if they do bring that. I mean, nothing officially confirmed, but I mean, they're submitting documents for it, so clearly they want to bring it over here. The next AutoGuide find here is filed for what is supposedly going to be called the Toyota Corolla Cross name. A trademark was filed for that by Toyota, and so chances are, if they actually do, I mean, it's just a trademark, but if they do go ahead and actually build this, it'll most likely be a more rugged looking, slightly lifted version of the current Corolla hatchback. It was just revealed here for the 2019 model year. I don't know, it'd only be front wheel drive, but there are some others out there that only have front wheel drive in these, compact crossover segments. And it certainly makes sense these days, since every American swoons for hatchbacks, but only if they're lifted 1 inch and given some plastic body cladding. So anyway, the last AutoGuide find here is a CARB certification for 4 2019 Lamborghini models, and the interesting one is it includes an Aventador SVJ Roadster. It was just last weekend the Aventador SVJ was revealed, and now we already know a Roadster version is coming, which I'm sure most Lamborghini collectors expected anyway, since they've done Roadster versions of SVs and stuff in the past, so no big surprise there. But as far as when this is coming, either the LA Auto Show, it might be a little soon though, since that's in November, or most likely Geneva. I think next spring would make the most sense. Anyway, interesting to see that. And the last story this week is for those of you that were sad about the Nissan Juke getting killed off, at least for the UK, there will be a second-gen version, according to an interview by Autocar. It's a UK publication, so that's why I'm saying at least for the UK, but hopefully this would come to the States too. Anyway, Autocar interviewed Nissan's global design boss, and they were talking about the second-gen Juke, which is happening, and they said the return is planned for next year, and that it doesn't look too much like the last one. It doesn't look like the IMX concept or the new Leaf either. It's an urban meteor with a nasty attitude. I have no clue what that even means or how to imagine that, aside from it being gray. So I don't know what the deal is with that. So he said it won't look like the IMX concept, but it could still look like the Grips concept, which was roughly inspired by some other Z products and stuff, and that's why it was Grips with a Z at the end. So if it could be something like that, that could be cool. There's also, I still just wish they would talk to this guy about what's going on with the next gen Z, because there's still some rumors saying, oh yeah, we're working on it, it's coming soon. Others say we have no plans to do anything with it, we don't even know what we would do with the new Z. And there's one polar opposite or the other, so I don't know what's going on with the Z, but at least we know the Juke is returning at least, so that's something. But anyway, hopefully we hear some news on the Z soon, but cool to hear that the Juke is coming back, at least for some markets, hopefully. And so anyway, that's it for all the news this week, guys, so let me know your thoughts and everything in the comments below. Thank you guys very much for watching, and I'll see you next week. Take care.